Hello, just finished watching CC11 with Elise, and yeah, great work. The board placement was good. I would still say watch that you're not moving it around too much. That's awesome. You're doing more on the 26. And yeah, it seems like, you and her's relationship is really growing, which is good. I would, though, always make sure that she puts the pencil down when you're reading, just so she's not kind of waiting there. And I would be a little more mindful of not repeating the words or asking her to spell, or even, I think there was a couple times you sounded out a word. And yeah, for the 26, she did great with a couple spells, so she wasn't really mispoking on that, so I would have just gone to greens. And also, instead of jumping back down to the threes, and after kind of one mispoke, instead of resetting, just really keep that board there and think of other ways that you can guide her to the right letter before you reset. We really just want to reset after like two or three mispokes. Again, I definitely think she's ready to, remain on the 26. This is just when you have to kind of dig in your toolbox a little more and think of other ways that you can help coach her eyes or, support the directional prompt. And yeah, so try and keep the board down as much as you can, and we don't want to have to be lifting it up every time she's going to the wrong letter. The pencil grip still, I think, can improve a little bit. She was holding it back pretty far, so really try and make it so there's only like, I don't know, sorry, I don't have a pencil. So there's only a few inches like this instead of she was kind of like this, which will definitely cause more mispokes. And again, too, instead of, it was good that you were aware of her posture and asking her to sit up straight and everything, but instead of kind of physically touching, then just think of ways to coach her body. So, back straight, hips back, sit up straight, things like that. When it comes to the dad thing and even talking about the sprinkler and stuff, it's all just loops, and who knows if it really is too reliable. Like, I'm sure she does, want to see her dad or might get a little anxious, but we don't really want to assume that. It could just be a loop that she's said like her whole life. So instead of kind of acknowledging it every time she says it, then just after like the second time that she mentioned the sprinklers, I would have just been like, all right, Elise, like, I know this is a loop, so I'm not trying to be rude, but I told you the answer to that, and I'm just not going to acknowledge it anymore, so let's keep going. And same with Dad, you could just say, you'll see him at 3 o'clock, so instead of kind of even talking more about Dad, that second or third time she brings it up, I would just say, remember, look at the time, or point to the timer. Definitely really, really make sure that you're done doing spells. You guys have been working together for a while now, and it's great, and it shows. So the next way that you can get to that next step would be really just stick with the greens. Again, too, also just without repeating the words, you don't have to repeat the question. And then when you're referring to the semi-open, was that the other instrument with a string? And I didn't look at the lesson, but I just want to make sure that there were only like 2 or 3 other what is it, options with the strings, or was it more of like a pink and or a previous knowledge where it could have been one of many, many, many things with strings? So that was probably, I would wait to do more semis, more oranges, until you're doing a lot more greens with very little mispokes, and then start breaking into those multiple choice oranges. And you can always modify. If there's 4 answers, you could say, okay, tell me another thing they mentioned. Here's 2 of them. Tell me one of the other 2 that I didn't say out loud. And hopefully they're at 2 different sides of the board, so you can kind of know where she's going. And then, yeah, everything was good. I like the visual timer, and I think it's okay for her to get up from the table, because you never really want to block her. So yeah, if anything, just be like, let's try, you know, one of your goals can be, we're gonna try sitting for 10 minutes at a time. I'll read, we can do a few questions, read, and then if you need to get up and move around, you can have a minute or 2 for that, and then we'll get back and try another 10. And what else? So yeah, instead of doing the constantly reassuring her about the dad thing, I would just ignore it. You know, say it once and then keep on spelling. And I would maybe try and just bring the tone down a little bit. It's something that I struggle with still. But when I find that I have a much lower tone and whisper sometimes, it helps with that, whether it's anxiety or mispokes or anything. It just helps keep them a little more grounded and regulated. So yeah, biggest takeaways are spells are only at the very, very beginning. Don't break the board unless there's a couple mispokes. Instead, think of other ways you can support her to get to the right letter. And then make sure you're not repeating any words or questions more than once. And yeah, I look forward to hearing how the internship went.